Welcome to the Worship Keys YouTube channel. My name is Carson Bruce. So glad you're here. We talk all things music theory, gear, industry, and ministry for your worship keys playing. If this episode is beneficial for you or you have any questions as you continue to watch, feel free to comment below, and I'd love to hear any feedback that you have along the way. So let's get into today's episode. I'm joined by Curt Buell with the Buell Institute of Music. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Carson. Thank you so much for having me as a recurring guest. Thank you for the opportunity. And to everybody watching, thank you guys for watching the previous episodes.
And I can't believe it's Christmas time,
right?
Like just around the corner. Yeah. Christmas, you have said, is your favorite holiday, your favorite time of year.
Besides my birthday, that's right. Yes, sir.
When's your birthday?
December 9th, so I get them both around the same
9th.
time. Yes, sir. Yeah,
y'all let Curt know you love him, and happy birthday to him.
Yeah, man, but I love Christmas. It really is my favorite holiday. Because of because of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Right.
That's a given if you're watching this. By now you know. But
yes.
It's because of the music. The Christmas music is like, I just think it's got the greatest melodies, the greatest harmony, the greatest chord changes.
I agree.
And it spans like so many different decades, like centuries, if you think about it. So there's a lot of history and stuff. But man, I just love playing Christmas music because of the chords and because of what you get to do from the piano with that music. Yeah, man.
So good. Today's episode is all about 3 ways that you can play Silent Night. And really that's in 3 different levels of beginner, intermediate to expert level. And the reason why we chose Silent Night is because many of us as keys players were called upon to play Silent Night at our Christmas services around the Advent season, specifically Christmas Eve services, right?
Yeah.
Candlelight services where everyone might sing a cappella or they might just have one piano up on stage, which I love those services because it's so piano driven, right?
Yeah, me too.
Especially with modern worship, we have such big drums, big guitars, and the keys can get buried a lot of times. It's not all about us all the time.
Yeah.
But for Christmas time, you do have the opportunity to shine forth your piano skills.
That's right, yeah.
So Silent Night, I love that song. Actually, my grandmother used to play Silent Night all the time during Christmas gatherings over at my grandparents' house, and she was incredible. She was a great traditional pianist, but she could play really good stride piano, just like this, just going at it. Yeah. Great with hymns as well. But she used to play a beautiful arrangement of Silent Night. But we're going to jump right into it of 3 ways to play Silent Night. But I do want to reference the episode that we had with you, Curt, episode 13, which is music theory tips. I can't proceed with this episode and not mention that episode. If y'all want more in-depth music theory tips for like beginner to intermediate and then intermediate to expert, you want to check out
more like advanced.
Okay.
I don't know if expert's the right word.
Okay, we should do maybe another episode.
Maybe. Well, I guess I'm an expert at this point. If you've been playing for more than 20 years, you hopefully should be.
Right.
I'm just being funny though. But yeah, man. Yeah. But beginner, intermediate, advanced. There's probably some expert level stuff in there.
Yes. Tell us in a very short, just concise way as possible. How do you know, Curt, even how to take a simple song that might be 3, 4, 5 chords for Silent Night? You got your 1, your 5, and other things, and then how do you expound upon that? What's even going through your mind? How do you know how to do that?
Every song's got landmarks, right? And those are usually like the 1, the 4, the 5, maybe a 6 or something. This tune will have at least a 1, a 5, and a 4. So if you're playing at the beginner level, you're probably just playing those landmarks. Probably just like this thing, the 1 chord, 5 chord, maybe a dominant chord or something, another dominant chord. But no like real embellishments or anything, no passing chords, like none of this, none of that stuff. It would just be like a dominant chord, 4, 1, 5. So 1, 4, and 5 all the way through. If we wanted to take it to the next level, we might start throwing in a few passing chords and stuff. I'm not done talking about level 1, but just to kind of give you an example of what could happen. Maybe some passing chords, maybe some melodic embellishments, not changing the melody, but like, that kind of stuff. and then like a passing chord. That kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And then some more interesting chord voicings and stuff. But with level 1, you're probably just playing 1 or 2 notes in the right hand, if you're playing the melody at all. I think you should play it on this tune, even if it's congregational singing, because it's just such a beautiful melody. But you're probably not doing a whole lot of grace note stuff, probably not doing a whole bunch of chording. You might do like some shell chord stuff, like that or something, you know what I mean? Whereas in like level 2, you might, depending on what octave we start in, you might start to see more of like the inner harmony stuff come out, you know what I mean? So that would be probably the specific differences between what we just did and where we're going next. So now I'm gonna play it round 2, more of like an intermediate, and notice any differences between the first take and then this next take, specifically in the right hand. So here we go. Let's see here. Let's start here. More sus stuff, like that. Walk down. Maybe walk it back up. Maybe some of that stuff. Maybe get some interesting 7, 3, 6. Just a little bit more interesting. Something like that.
Beautiful, man.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool. So just a couple more things like the 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can make that even more interesting, like at a flat 7 if you want, at a diminished major 7. That's how you go from level 1 to level 2, is add more harmony in your chords, if that makes sense. And then add more movement overall. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right.
No, I love that, man. And a lot of people are looking for ways to kind of make their arrangement sound just a little bit better than, last year. Some people are like, oh, you play that same arrangement every single year. And honestly, and when we talk about this, I want to be careful to mention this, is that it's not if you play it like level 1, you're very inferior, and then if you're level 3, you're superior. Because some people might overplay for the situation, and honestly, you can kind of look at this as like a first time through, second time through, third time through.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Sometimes the first time you play it is very simple, and then there's a difference between when you're playing it instrumentally versus when you're accompanying someone, right?
100%. Yes.
And in every example that you're going to see here, guys, you're going to see that melody is still king, right? Melody is still the top dog. Literally, and figuratively speaking, the melody is absolutely the most important thing. And if that's not the thing that's sitting right on top of your chords and on top of your playing, then it doesn't make sense to do it.
Pinky on top. Almost always pinky on top. You'll see what I'm talking about, but you're exactly right. Put that note there at the top of the chord.
Yes, so good. And then at the end of the episode, we're going to do a little bonus and let Curt explain the Christmas song.
Yeah, let's do it. I can't
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Yeah, man.
We love that song, and there's a lot of rich music theory stuff. There's a wonderful theory tip that Curt Buell teaches, and it's called the musical phone number.
So here's level 3, and you mentioned something really great, how first time through might sound one way. I may even demonstrate that in a minute. I'm going to play level 3, and then I'll probably show you guys how this would all come together in the first place.
Awesome.
So level 3, let's see. And we could probably go to a lot of levels after this, but I want this to be attainable for everybody. So here we go. More movement. Maybe a walk up. Some chord substitution stuff. some embellishments. Outro of some kind. There you go.
So good.
Level 3. And then, of course, you might even have a bonus level of harmony, like reharm stuff.
Ooh.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then you could something like that. There's your fourth hidden level right there.
Yeah, so good.
Man. Yeah.
And still,
Fun stuff.
melody is still prominent.
100%.
You still hear the melody. So good.
And here's
bro.
why, because you want people to be able to sing along.
Of course.
With it. This is how I teach my students. When you're playing in a congregational setting like we're talking about right now,
Yeah.
you want everybody to be able to jump in and sing along without having to guess where to go.
Right.
So even if you're doing that jazz reharm stuff, you can still hear that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
So
It's
good.
still there, even if I went, like a. See what I'm saying? It's always there, no matter
So
what.
good.
So, yeah, you want people to be able to sing along, or at the very least, know what you're playing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, man.
So good, Curt.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, man. Let's jump into the nitty-gritty of all the different levels at this point, and hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know if you're enjoying this. Let us know in the comments.
right, y'all. That's Silent Night in the key of B flat. We did 3 rounds of this, so I want to share with you a little bit about what happened in each round. So we talked about this before. First level was pretty simple, bunch of 1, 4, and 5 stuff. There might have been some extra stuff in this particular arrangement, but we started simple, and we didn't do a whole lot of stretching out. A lot of it was just kind of right here, right? Versus probably the next pass and the one after where we're doing like a more full spread of the keyboard. So that was the first level, the just really understated. Second level had more of this, something like that churchy stuff. Watch this. That's like playing a C9 but over G. So, and then that's a 5 sus, which you can go dominant or you go there as well. So you heard more of the pretty stuff in the second level or round. A lot of articulations like, you know, da. Especially if you're playing solo, you want to try and emulate the style and the sound of a human voice. So that's why, because most singers would kind of bend into that note, right? So more wide voicings. A similar thing from before, kind of like how we did this. We could do the same thing. Right there. See what I'm saying? And that gives it a more of a traditional sound, if you will, especially if you're playing in church. Then the last version, church for real. Kind of like the Mariah Carey version of this song. This thing. And let me show that to you real quick. It's a contrary motion, like inner voices movement. That sort of thing. So watch this. Diminished / chord. So from the top of that, more of that church language. Sus, walk up. That's a church walk up. Instead of just that, like a pop tune, we would go flat 7 over 2, 1 over 3, maybe even dominant 1 over 3. Now watch this. This is something I actually want to talk about. How do we make that thing work? You see what I'm saying? Something like this could work well, where we're staying on the same melody note, round young virgin, like that. There's that. Walk up. The swing. Watch this. 7, 3, 6. Here's that move again. But the idea is almost to count it like 9/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a little fast, but it feels like church. Holy night. 2, 5. Da, 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 da. Really melodic. Walk up. Some staccato stuff and some low note stuff like that, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's Silent Night, levels 1, 2, and 3. Watch the notation, see if you can pick up on some of these details, like the grace note stuff, or the walk down and the walk up stuff. Last tip with that, the thing that I just did, you might try to throw in your own melody or something like that, but as you're working through these, try and sing through it. So like, sleep right here. And that'll help your playing to feel more musical and not like you're just playing the melody, but it'll give you opportunity to be a little bit more expressive in how you play this song and how you connect the melody and how you connect all the chord changes together. So feel free to add some melodic embellishments, just don't change the melody. We still want people to be able to sing along with it and to know what tune we're playing. But those are just a few ideas to take Silent Night all the way up to level 3. All right, y'all, we got one more version to look at here. This will be like the bonus jazz reharm version of Silent Night. So we might even do some rootless stuff like something like that. See what I'm saying? Little substitution there. Altered stuff. Let's think here. See if we can do it in tempo. We could do some rootless stuff. Cool outro. Something like that. And then a Lydian mode ending like that. So anyway, that's the bonus version of Silent Night with some jazz reharmonization stuff. Okay, everybody, we got one more song to teach. Everybody hopefully knows this one, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, or the Christmas song, as we've all come to love and know it as. So we're going to do this in the key of C, strictly because I want everybody to understand what's going on. It's very easy to visualize everything going on in the key of C. Although I love the key of E flat, we're going to do it in C. That way you can follow along with like all the passing chords and different changes going on. This song actually has a lot of really interesting harmony stuff and chord change stuff going on. We'll actually leave the key at one point. But how about I just play this for you one time, and then we'll get into some of the theory stuff. So I would probably start with an intro though. Something like that. Look right here. tag it. Outro. Something like that. So let's talk through some of this. It starts in the key of C. The most interesting thing that happens is they know that Santa's on his way. That part. So the B section, right? We'll go through some of this other stuff, but again, the most interesting part, I want to hit this first. They know that Santa's on his way. Right here, a cool little passing chord. And I think Vince Guaraldi does this in the Peanuts version. Minor 5. So this is all circle of fifth stuff. Minor 5, phone number stuff. 4, 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1 of E flat. Key of C, that's a 2. 5. Back to 1. So you're seeing all this phone number stuff that we've talked about in episode 13 happening in this tune. Just some other general ideas. It's a really melodic song, right? And it's got some great chord changes. So we want to create some movement. That's why we're seeing stuff like 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4. By the way, the next fifth down from the 4, if the phone number kept going, it would be flat 7. So this whole thing. Then to the 6. A lot of cool rolling stuff you could do. Now watch this. Another phone number thing. The number that actually precedes the 7, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, episode 13, right? Music theory tips. But the phone number 7362514. I just told you about one at the very end that's kind of hidden, that flat 7. But there's actually one before even the 7 in this key, and that's the flatted 5. So watch this. Flat 7, 6. Here we go. So flat 7. So G flat minor 11. Watch this, circle fifths. 7, 3, key change. That's the other interesting part. So 2, 5, 1 in C or E flat. 2, 5, 1 in C. Minor 5. And if you're really smooth, let's see if you can do it. You might be able to work in some chordal harmony. Q-U-A-R-T-A-L. Chordal, as in fourths. Maybe omit one of those. So that could make this have a little bit more character. Roll it out. 7. Or you could add something, or let's see what we can do. Watch this. I learned that from David Hazeltine, the Beatles tune Yesterday, but he does a jazz version of it, and he does this cadence. It's a little bit different than what we'd hear in church. He just, little inner movement there. So a cool little chromatic thing. You could even use a passing chord to get to that passing chord. Pentatonic. Major scale. Sus. This will be a cool place. This would be a good place to modulate. flat 5, 7, Merry Christmas, tag it, Merry Christmas. You see how I snuck that in there? Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you. Outro. Notice how I'm singing through this too. I will probably, as I'm rehearsing something, sing through it to make sure that it fits. Something like that. So that's the Christmas song from C and then all the way up to D flat.
Okay, bro, that was incredible.
Thank you, man.
Especially the bonus stuff in there. I'm going to take some of those nuggets and go home and practice that right now.
They're yours, bro. They're for anybody that wants them.
I love it. I love
sir.
it. Guys, and if y'all want some resources on what Curt just taught right there, there's some free resources in the description of this video and on podcast too. Well, if you are listening on podcast audio, I hope you've enjoyed the audio, but honestly, YouTube video is going to be a lot better because you get to see what's actually going on with the music theory and everything. And once you understand the theory of what's going on, you can apply this to any song, really, which is incredible. But you know, it reminds me, a lot of the chords you were playing there reminded me of your masterclass called Chord Junkies. Y'all, you need to go get Curt Buell's masterclass, Chord Junkies. It's incredible. I've actually gone through the masterclass. I've seen all the material, and
he put it together. So that's why, because he masterfully produced it. Which, by the way, thank you for doing it.
Dude, it's a pleasure. But this course is really amazing because it talks about diminished chords, those altered chords, tritone bass substitution, stuff that you just would not get in your basic, like piano lessons, or even sometimes your intro music theory stuff within college at some universities. This stuff goes really in depth, and I'm telling you, you can really advance your chord theory stuff like within a few hours of watching that masterclass, and then of course takes hours and hours of practice. But
well, I'll tell you why it's so beneficial, because we do examples. Like I'm not giving you just a chord, I'm giving you the chord before it, this chord, the one after, and then where we're going right after we play all that. So basically you don't really need to know a whole lot if you know the number system. This class is going to help you go from 0 to hero.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
that,
about?
I love
man,
that.
Absolutely.
And listen, if you teach piano, whether that's one-on-one lessons or you do online lessons like Curt does, maybe you want to actually get this course too. It might inspire you. You might actually learn something new, honestly, even if you've been playing for some years. I know I've learned something new, and I've been playing for, I don't know, 16, 17, 18
Some
years.
of the stuff I was teaching was kind of new. You know what I mean? There's always new stuff even at the top level. And we're not saying that we're there, but like there's always something else to learn, right? So there's even some stuff on there that was pretty brand new for me to teach, but you're going to get so much out of it, and that's why. Now I got to tell them about, he's got an ebook, okay? Tell me the title of it real
It's
quick.
called Playing Worship Keys by Ear.
You guys, he just sent it to me. We were looking at it together. This thing is, number one, beautiful. It's masterfully put together. About 50 pages.
About 50 pages. Short read.
But a good read.
Yeah, so this ebook is really, really good for outlining how do you sit down at the piano and play a worship song. And then based on theory, I'm listening to, hey, what key are we in? What's the bass line and what's the chord progression? What are the lead lines and what are the melodies? Those are the main things. So this ebook outlines the process for actually playing by ear. Really, this can relate to any genre, right? You find out the key, you find out the chord progression. I love the way that you described it at the beginning of this episode in the intro. Curt said the 1, 4, 5, 6. Those chords are kind of the landmarks.
That's right.
So this ebook talks about those landmarks. And honestly, when you can simplify what's going on, we only have 6 or 7 different options of chords we can play on a normal modern worship song, right? You think about the inversions, the bass line, the chord progression, and you can pretty much learn any song by ear, knowing that formula, knowing the music theory. So the ebook goes in depth about the circle of fifths, the Nashville number system, the 1 through 7. And honestly, if you read the ebook and then you go take his Chord Junkies class,
we're on the same page.
You'll go from level to level. But thank you for that, man. You can definitely grab resources to the Chord Junkies Masterclass in the description, and also get a copy of the free. It's free, by the way. The ebook is free. Chord Junkies, of course, is not free. There's a little bit of a fee, but it's well worth it.
Let me tell you something. Anybody that knows a little bit about the piano, if they know anything about those landmarks, and they've started hearing the number system being talked about, if you start with his ebook, and then watch episode 13 of the Worship Keys podcast. So literally just click on this channel and go down to episode 13. You'll see our faces on the thumbnail. Watch that and then get the Masterclass, the Chord Junkies Masterclass. There's no reason why you won't be playing professionally within a year or two. You know what I mean?
True.
Like you'll
That's
be
true.
able to play at a professional level at your church, any gigs that you may want to play. And if you're teaching or something, or maybe it's just simple stuff,
Right.
there's going to be so much stuff for you to teach. You could probably build a business just off of the information between the two of us. But that's what you got to do. Start with the ebook, watch the podcast, and then Chord Junkies. You'll be set. Like there'll be so much stuff for you to learn. You'll start getting calls for stuff, and people are going to be so impressed with your playing. So there's your game plan. If you're trying to go from square one to like square four, that's how you're going to do it right there.
100%. And it's the Christmas season, so the ebook's completely free. Y'all make sure to get it. You can even send it to a buddy or whatever. Say, hey, check this out. But also send this podcast to someone who might also benefit from this. Maybe you're a worship leader and you're like, oh, like I wish my keys player was playing this arrangement of Silent Night on Christmas Eve service. You know, like send this episode to them, spread the word. And honestly, I really want this channel to help you guys with your keys playing, with understanding theory. And Chord Junkies, the ebook, is like the easiest way to get started in that. I want you to share a story about the student that you had that he was learning root positions or maybe inversions of chords. And how he was frustrated, but he kept practicing. Share that story with everyone here.
It was the second to last student of the week, and I told him, I've been waiting all week to hear something like what you just said. And so the previous week, we were working on these chord shapes. You can't see them, but you can hear them. Altered dominant chord shapes in the left hand for like jazz stuff. Or if I'm in C, that kind of stuff. And so I taught him this chord, and I said, my recommendation is that you learn how to play it over all 12 iterations, right? So if you learn it here, we got to go there and there and there. You just got to force your hands to retain that shape over time, right? And so he told me he started practicing with the left hand chords, and he got about to like the fourth one and started packing his backpack up. He was like, I'm out of here. But then he decided, you know what? I just got to figure this out and sit down with it for a little bit. So he said he went back, started working, spent about 2 hours working on just that chord. This week we talked about how to add that right hand thing I just did, but you know, it builds off of the previous stuff. So he came back yesterday with a better understanding, and he told me he took about 2 hours working with that. And so my reply to him, and this is the point of this, is that you have to sit down and figure it out for yourself. You can't just let somebody tell you and think that that's going to get you anywhere ultimately. Like you've got to sit down and work through your own patterns and stuff. Like I can talk till I'm blue in the face about how I understand it, and it may help you, right? Or how I came to learn that particular topic or subject. But until you sit down and actually deal with it yourself and process it and think through it and get frustrated, because I'm telling you, anything worth doing is probably going to frustrate you at some point, maybe oftentimes, but it's still worth doing. And so that's the point, is you got to spend time with these. Don't expect with the harder stuff to just get it right off the bat. I can't even get it right off the bat. I've got to sit down and do it and process it and think about it in my own way. But if you get it, guess what? You've got it forever. And that thing right there will build off of probably 200 more things that you can do just with that one chord or that one idea. Maybe the idea of transposing chords is what you get out of that, not just the chord itself, but the fact that you've got to move it to all 12 installations, if you will. But ultimately, have fun and push past that point of frustration. I mean, this stuff's been around longer than we have, all right? And it's not going anywhere. It's there for those who want it. And so it's just a matter of, number one, having a good teacher, of course, and two, having a good work ethic. If you just sit down and start playing these chords and working out the stuff that you're seeing in the ebook or on the podcast or in the masterclass or anywhere else, if you spend the time and connect the pathway in your brain, right? You got to like forge that neural pathway so that you finally have an understanding of what's going on. If you spend the time, eventually it's going to connect to all these other topics and ideas, and you'll be such a better musician and a person because of it.
So good.
Yes, sir.
And again, the ebook is not going to instantly make you be able to play by ear. The Chord Junkies Masterclass, by watching that full few hours of content, is not going to totally transform your chord playing unless you apply the things that's in it. So application is everything, guys. And if you just take it section by section and practice that, I believe there's no limit to your piano playing.
There's no limit to this instrument. So we're just trying to find the most fun way to play around with it, right? And to have a good time and to play stuff we're actually proud of. So yeah, there's no limit to what you can do, especially with the resources that this guy's putting out.
Yeah,
but even with my own students who are music directors in their churches, or they do some sort of administration or facilitation, I tell them, go watch the Worship Keys podcast.
Thank you, bro.
Because there's stuff in there that, especially with the older generation, they may not understand right off the bat, like running tracks and sound design and running programs like Mainstage and stuff, or even just like how to build a set list. I was literally going down the list with somebody the other day and just reading off topics. Like one of them was a set list, right? Or how to prepare for Sunday morning. And like, it's good to hear from somebody who does this every week and who has been around the block like Carson has and been to these great churches and seen how it's done. He's done all the hard work for you, basically. Take his word, whatever he's saying, just watch it or listen to it on the podcast and take it at face value. You know that you're going to get something great. So anyway, lots of great resources on your podcast. I'm just so thrilled to play a small part in what you're doing. Ultimately, man, like if you're on Instagram, you've probably seen his videos at this point. If you do anything with music, you've seen it come up in your Explore page. So man, you're just doing such an awesome thing for everybody. You're doing the hard work that I'm sure a lot of people thought about doing but didn't have the wherewithal to see it through. So this guy, man, the word, amen. But the Worship Keys podcast, this is what we're talking about, and it's Christmas, so I'm so happy to be on this Christmas episode with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me, Carson.
Thank you, Curt. And listen, guys, if you've benefited from this episode and you can take something away and say, you know what, I'm gonna play Silent Night in a different way that I've never played it before for this Christmas Eve, and you are so like blessed with that, please let us know in the comments. Please let us know. Send me an email, carson@theworshipkeys.com. I would love to hear if this episode is really helping you guys. Thank you for being a part, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.